Welcome, Daniel Hibberd. Sometimes
you're a pain. You are a pain.
What do they call?
Stitch up. That was almost a stitch up of the highest order.
They call it the green room. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Live on Loose Lines. The band is back together. Daniel, welcome.
Yeah, good to be back. Had a easy night, I guess you could say, at Bendigo last week. Only 6 races, and was home before normally the last race is run. So it was a pretty easy night last week.
Which is not a bad thing. It was a disappointing, I suppose, race meeting, if you like, but I was expecting to see a few more of them. It's just been that one anomaly at the minute that I've noticed. There's been a couple that have get 7 and a couple of thin fields, but 8, but thin fields. But all in all, I reckon they've been pretty good the way they're stacked up.
There's a couple that are a couple of meetings are sort of they're skinny races through the meeting. They've still got a number of like 8 or 9 on the card. I know Cobram on Friday's got 9, but there's a lot of 8s, and there's already a couple of scratching, so you're down to sort of 7s and that sort of thing, which is disappointing from a wagering point of view. But you're still getting good fields. I was slightly disappointed too with Ballarat fields on Saturday. There's a couple of races there that are skinny, and you'd sort of expect them to be pretty well full, but the main races obviously are full, but a couple of the other ones you sort of would have expected a few more knobs. And I even noticed the same thing in the dogs. I've got to go to Horsham and call on Friday afternoon, and I think there's only one race where there's actually 8 dogs in the race. So I think it's a thing across both the codes, the dogs and the trots. I'm not sure about the gallops, but certainly the dogs and the trot at this time of year. I think probably maybe it's got something to do with the last week or 10 days where it's been really hot and humid. Might be just affecting the numbers a little bit more than we sort of expect normally.
I think probably too, Daniel, a few people might have gone away, so they get away.
And that's the obvious other one as well. There's that's likelihood that people are taking a bit of time off for this time of year.
We've got a few people actually watching. Philip Wood, we'll get to you in a sec, Philip. Troy Harley is on. Did you get the tip? Just prior.
I'm not talking to him.
Just prior to us going on
there was two
air.
of them, wasn't there? There was 2 of them that won, didn't they?
No, he's had 3 winners, I think, in the last since we've seen him. He had a winner last week. He's racking them up, but no tips.
No.
Troy, nothing Harley. But I encourage everyone to get involved. Dennis Grieve is on. I saw Dennis Grieve rock on there before. I saw Dennis at Kath McIntosh's last week. I think he might be having a mare getting foaled there as well. But please get involved. There's plenty to talk about. We'll talk about anything. People bring it up. There is lots going on. Three laughing faces. Do you reckon we're getting any sympathy from T. Harley?
He's just counting the money. Clearly, he's just counting all his cash.
No, he sits at home under the air conditioner. So he sends a bride off. That's it. Sits back and relaxes. So yeah. So anyway, he'll be right. His day will come. This is On Loose Lines. This show is pretty much just about chatting. We send it whichever way we want. Cam Bray steps in when Daniel's doing a bit of calling. I'm going to give Cam Bray on the phone. We'll get a few people on. We might even get Troy Harley on at some stage too, and just talk about the new Traralgon track, because it is in its inception. This is every Wednesday, this show. Just got to juggle what I'm going to do next week, because I am live streaming the Traralgon Cup, which happens to fall on a Wednesday. So if we're going late, I might even just bring this show forward about half an hour. No, I don't think I'd do that. Hales would kill me. Actually, he'd kill me if I did that, so he wouldn't talk to me. So we'll work it out. I'll play around a little bit with it. But I do want to encourage people to get involved. I want to encourage people to keep following it. I've got some sponsors that look after me, Barristock, Harassed Trotters, and many others. I'll change shirts and that. Got a special shirt to wear later on as well. Daniel, don't you worry about that. I've got an interview with Gary Newton about Botra and what they've been doing coming up as well. So we've got quite a few things. We want to promote the clubs, promote the tracks, look after people. And in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be at Nutrin. I'm going to be in Tamworth for the Standardbred sale and the likes. And I'm going to be doing On Loose Lines there. There's a possibility I might do 3 or 4 or 5 episodes of On Loose Lines. We might go just to get the word out there. Don't worry, Daniel, I won't monopolise you that much. Because I'll have the likes of Mark Barton and those guys there as well. So, but yeah, we'll just try and spread a bit of word. A lot of traction. I don't know if you noticed, mate. I went to a camp draft on Sunday to Tumut, of all places. Beautiful part of the world, absolute God's country. But the great man T. Harley actually alluded to me that middle of winter it's not the most pleasant place, and I would imagine that could be right.
No, steer clear.
I don't think it was actually that pleasant for everyone the 2 days prior. It was that wet underfoot, but 35 degrees and wet underfoot. She was a little bit humid, to say the least. So some of my interviews, the guys were getting very, very wet. Alex Hurley is online. Scotty Purdon, g'day to you. So please get involved. Fire as many questions as you like at us, and we will chat all things harness, I suppose, is the best way to go. We might do this a little bit backwards for a sec, Daniel. We've got Philip Wood on there from the Hamilton Harness Racing Club, amongst other things, and Mount Gambier as well, but he's the president there at the Hamilton Harness Racing Club. And Sunday meeting at Hamilton was a long day and the likes. But Jesus, some good results, especially in both of the cups.
Yeah, it was. The Pacing Cup in particular, the Rackham Up Tiger Pie was a big win. Mick Stanley's obviously from that part of the world, and he's to get that cup. He's obviously very happy about the win, and particularly with a horse owned by his father as well. So, but it was a good race. He's done a really good job to win. And then the Trotters Cup as well. Kai Valley Finn for Snooze and Jason Lee taking the drive. Another one, it wasn't the favourite, so the story of the Country Cups being a benefit for the short price favourites, so it sort of got blown out of the water in the two races there at Hamilton. It was a good win, led and did a good job, 2-4.3. Look, it was good racing. It was really good racing there at Hamilton on Sunday.
It was indeed. We've got one of the Tassie terrorists on there. I don't know if you've noticed, my brother and I got twin brothers actually. They've been terrorising Tasmania over there, riding motorbikes around. Shane Gallagher has logged on. He's one of the terrorists over there at the minute. So I think they've had a pretty good time over there while they've been travelling around Tasmania and having fun. So welcome to those guys. It was Rackham Up Tiger Pie. He's a horse that's probably been lost in the wilderness for a little while. A couple of years ago, he started pretty short in the Bendigo Cup, and his form's been dwindling. I think it wouldn't have mattered where it was. It could have been back of Burke. I think it meant a lot to both Mick and to his father, and definitely their mother, because they were all on deck there the other day. I think it meant a fair bit to him, that case. And Kai Valley Finn, it's just one of those little favourites of mine. When we started doing Trots Vision, and even actually prior to that, myself and Toby McKinnon did a Thursday for Trots. And Chris Finozio, I think he won the Trotters Cup that year with Kai Valley Finn. And he was just a horse that was going so good. And just looked a little bit lost and at sea. And it was great to see him bounce back into the winner's stall.
He's sort of been out of, like his last few runs, he'd sort of been out of form a little bit. Like he'd run 7th in the Cobram Cup the week before. He'd run 9th at Cranbourne and then 8th in the Stall Trotters Cup. So I mean, he'd been going around to the good races, and it wasn't as if he was racing against easier opposition. He was racing against the good horses, and got things his way and was able to get the job done there on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our own driver. He's logged in, Lee Sutton. Hello, Lee. Good to see you. Do you know where he was last week? Did you see that? You didn't see it? He's sitting out on a river or a creek or something fishing while he was watching us last week. He must have had the phone on the lap and away he was going. Gary Collison with the Skulls. Welcome, guys. Long time no see. You'll be having one eye on Mildura. You got to keep an eye on Mildura for us as well. But before you go to that, the last race, I'm going to say well done to Roddy Barker, because I think someone mentioned last year that his driving stats weren't that good. Great to see him get a winner in the last at Hamilton. But who was it for as well for me? Daniel, help me out with that one.
Jeffrey Towers.
That's right, yep. And well done to Jeffrey. It's actually a Sweet Lou, I think, was that horse. And we're going to talk about Sweet Lou's a fair bit in a minute. But it was good to see Roddy back into the winner's stall and getting a winner.
Yeah, when I look through the results, you sort of forget about Rod at times. I mean, you obviously see Jackie's name a lot of times, and Jim's still poking around, obviously, as well. But you don't sort of see Rod's name all that often anymore. But it's good to see him get a winner. Growing up, he was a regular at Donald Trots. I know that for a fact. Like Jim used to come up all the time, and Rod would be, basically have a full book of drives, pretty much. So I've sort of known the name for a very long time.
When you were mentioning his name, then my memory of him is he and Peter Tonka in the green with the gold hoops at Naya, and with the old shed. It was one of my earliest memories actually, Rod. But they were dynamite. So before they built a shed, they actually built a fully enclosed shed at Naya. But before they did that, they had and it was an interesting shed, and there was little nooks and crannies in it everywhere. And that's one of my earliest memories of Roddy Barker. And I think he drove nearly 5-6 winners one night there, all either for Tonkins or all for his dad. They did a great job. So they actually used to rock up. This will bring back memories for some people. They used to rock up with the F350 that I think they've still got, plus the float hooked on the back. So they'd unload the horses on the float, unhook the float, then drop the tailgate, get the ones off the truck. I do remember that as well. It was very, very good memories actually. So yeah, Maureen Newbury, she's on board as well, and Brad Stevens. Got heaps of people. So please, if you've got any questions or if you want to bring anything up about harness racing, please fire the questions through. Where are they up with Mildura?
They're about a couple of minutes away. The fourth race is on, so the fourth race about to get underway. I haven't got the fields up. I'll just. Yes, I have. I did get them up. This is a 50 to 54, and there's only 6 in it, so a skinny field there for the next race.
Absolutely. I saw Michelle Phillips. She won the first. Great to see her get a double last night. It's good to see anyone getting a double. Better Jenny Lewis from the Gippsland Harness Racing Training Centre getting a double as well. It would have meant a lot to Jen. When I was at Warragul on Friday night, and we're going to touch on that meeting in a sec, as well as the Shepparton meeting. Sorry, it's going to be the Melton meeting actually tied in with that one. Jen was hopeful of getting a winner. She thought she had a chance of getting a winner. She got 2. I reckon she'd be walking around on cloud 9. So I think well done to you, Jen. She does so much for our industry, trying to get young people into it and the likes. They've only got, if you want to get involved in that school, you can get involved by contacting basically the Gippsland Training Centre. I think they've got about 8 students at the minute, but there are still plenty of spots. But they have, now I forget what it's called, basically it's full. So it's part of schooling, and you can go there, and it is already full. So that's 25 students will be taking part, learning about horses, learning about harness racing. So I reckon that's pretty key actually. So I think it's good, and we need more and more people like that involved in our industry.
Absolutely.
Rightio, we have some sponsors. I've got to make sure. So I'm going to we'll give him a wrap at the minute. So with Yearling Sales on as well, Darren Aiken and the safety specialist. You didn't get to see this ad last week actually, Daniel. It was up before because you're off call and going. The safety specialists they are, but they also have Yearling Sale apparel or any of your harness racing apparel. If you want to get in touch with Darren, call him on 0400 309 902, and he'll only be too happy to help you. That's the safety specialist. He does hats, shirts, all your yearling apparel. He'll even do left of field ideas, something different. If you if you come up with a different idea, get in touch with Darren, as I said, on 0400 309 902. But I've got to give his best, the best half that he's got. By that far, it's not funny. The standardbreds rehoming and the likes. I don't know, you'll be a bit behind, Daniel, unfortunately, with the Facebook feed, but Kelly Stewart Mitchell, she's a Kiwi that's based herself now here in Melton, and she's Darren Aiken's other part. She won the best dressed at the Werribee show just the other day, and when you see the pictures come through, you can see why. Absolutely stunning, and I reckon it's great how a lot of these people are taking so much pride in their off-the-track standardbreds. And really showing them, and good to see Kel notching up a winner there. And Tip and Daz had to buy chicken dinner that night because there was definitely a winner there for you, Daz. And I saw he was in the he made the effort back into the sulky today with the knees up under the chin. So big effort for Big Daz. So yeah, but please, if you want any apparel, make sure you get in touch with the Safety Solutions. But 0400 309 902, and he will definitely look after you. Before we go to Shep, Friday, I went to Warragul, and it was quite an unusual night there to do the greyhounds. When I got there, I saw that it was a bit stormy, and I did the interview with Jen and the likes, and that's on my feed, and you can actually see the sunshine behind. It's pretty bright, but you could see the clouds, and I was like, Anyway, the club president says to me, "No, you'll be right. The rain's gone." He said, "You don't have to worry." So, and Troy Harley will vouch for this. I drove around the other side of the track, and anyway, I started setting up, and the club curator says to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, we're doing the live stream out here." I said, "They tell me the rain's gone," and he goes, "Don't set up." And I said, "You sure?" He goes, "Don't set up." We went back up the other end, so probably 5 minutes. Myself and my daughter Holly was with me. We grabbed 4 or 5 bags, walked in, and for the next 17 minutes, 35 mil of rain came down. Unbelievable rain.
Yep.
And then we had the lightning that almost put the cup in danger. It didn't, thankfully for everyone, but it nearly put the cup in danger. And so that was a little bit of an issue. But then, unfortunately for Melton, with the lightning, they actually ended up losing the 2 meetings.
They got
two races, sorry.
Yeah, the cup, the Warragul Cup. Yeah, they lost. Well, they went back 3 races, and I remember watching the coverage, and Troy had sort of said, I think it was in the rules that if you go back any more than 3, then the meeting's pretty well gone. So they were pretty lucky to get away with it, but obviously Melton missed out by having to call off the races there. But she was pretty ordinary weather, really stormy action, which is certainly no good for racing in any code.
One thing I didn't know, and I reckon it'll be the same in the harness, you can't get back onto a track until 15 minutes has passed. This is definitely for the greyhounds, and I think it may have been in the trots as well. But 15 minutes after the last strike of lightning. So
well, it's half an hour. Certainly from a cricket perspective, it's half an hour with the last sight of lightning and thunder. Well, hearing of thunder, I guess, but more so the sighting of lightning. So it's a 30-minute wait. So there's different rules for that sort of thing. But I mean, even at any point when it's stormy like that, there's just no point sort of even contemplating running anything. It's just far too dangerous, and the risk to participants is far too great.
Yeah, it is, and with the greyhounds, we've all got dogs. We know what they're all like. Like, I saw a lot of posts put on social media about dogs climbing under couches and everything. And the greyhounds, it must be a little bit trying. They're safe for anyone watching this and wondering. They're as safe as churches. They're safer than probably what a lot of the participants were. But you just wonder how some of them greyhounds actually handle that. And I've got no doubt there'd be some that just walk out there and say, "Oh, who cares?" And there'd be others that'd be saying, "No,
run,
let me out. I don't want to be anywhere. Give me cheese," sort of thing. So yeah, bit of definitely a little bit of fun there, I think. So yeah, but it was incredible conditions. I've never seen rain or thunder and lightning like it. So yeah, and as I said, we do we live stream for the GRV, so you can go to GRV's Facebook page to watch any of those live streams. Or log on to the Watchdog app. Depending, they advertise when it is. I don't know exactly what we're doing for Traralgon just yet, but Troy Harley, Molly Haynes, Corey Smith, and Brooke Innes pretty much rotate through. So we're going to be doing Traralgon next week, and we will be going to go there. Right, Troy's actually got back into me. We'll see if he answers this other phone. He might not know about the other bat phone, and we'll have a quick discuss about Traralgon. Then we will
just while you're calling, they have raced at Mildura, and Alex Ashwood's had another winner up there with a short price favourite, Magic Feeling, leading pretty much all the way. They went 158.4 over the sprint trip. Giant Jackson ran second. Fine Artist was third, and This Is Bill was fourth. Michelle Phillips finishing fourth there. So it was 1, 7, 4 and 3 on that fourth race at Mildura.
It's a good name, Magic Feeling. That's what our next guest is feeling, Daniel. Troy Harley, firstly, how's it going training all these winners, mate?
Oh, yeah. It's you enjoy it while it lasts. It's like this game. But, it's been good the last couple of weeks. 2 in work, 3 starts between them for 3 wins, and fingers crossed it continues in the last at Sandown tomorrow night.
Oh, so you are giving us a tip now?
No. Well, you missed it last week at $41. That's no good to anyone now. But it's hopefully it continues tomorrow night. But I feel that Daniel tells me that said earlier on that he's not talking to me. I mean, talk about getting it good. I mean, he's getting half pay for 6 race meetings. Like, give me a spell.
Full pay.
Yeah, full pay for half the work, like far out. It's better than stop and go. That.
Hey, go back a step now. What's the numbers in the last at Sandown tomorrow night?
I think she's got box 4. It's called Spooky Bella, so she's closer to retirement. Or she's the start of her career, but she's going quite good. She won the last week at $41 at Bendigo. She's a very valuable brood bitch for a good friend of mine that owns her, and Des and Mark Burley. And she was just to do to Group 1 win a playlist and catch the thief, and I think she's won 8 or 9 herself, and she can pick up a city win to be nice. But if she doesn't, in the next couple, she'll go in the yard and let down, and probably due on season about May, and then we'll be down to 1 dog in work.
Will you be able to handle that?
There's 3 or 4 going to break in the next couple of weeks, so there's always a cycle. It's like you get quiet for a couple of weeks and you get busy again, and there was 8 pups born here on Monday, so they'll keep us busy, mate.
Well, indeed. Now, that's you that put that message in there, Rod Chambers. Debbie Hibberd is actually on too, so watch your P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Hello, Mum. What was I going to say then? So, Hales, we're doing Traralgon Grounds next Wednesday night live, and it will be live on both the GRV Facebook, YouTube channel, and also the Watchdog app on the Stream Extra that they have there that will be going. We're not sure exactly what races we're doing just yet.
No, so the fields will be finalised, I'd say Monday, with the heats been on Friday, but once those fields are out, and it'll be announced there on Monday on both the pages and all the socials of Grand Race Victoria what time we'll start. But obviously being the first feature event on the new track, when he started racing it last Saturday, we'll probably hopefully do a little bit more than what we normally do.
Well, and the one thing I want to do, I think we're going to have to showcase the track, and I'll let you talk people through, but it's just such a unique track, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's sort of a half and half track, I suppose you could say. It's not a straight track, it's not a circle track, it's not a horseshoe track. It's what they call a J track. Where I went to school, the J went the other way, but it's sort of shaped a little bit more like a fish hook or a J in the mirror. But we'll say J for the sake of the discussion. It's sort of it's an interesting track. It's got very long runs into that bend, and then the turns that go into the last 250 metres. So it's a very unique track. It's been scientifically designed in terms of safety and momentum of grounds and whatnot, and all things so far it seems to have raced quite well. It's obviously very unique, so the question I suppose that you have on is how the form lines will stack up. But as far as Traralgon form for Traralgon races go, I think it'll be quite good, and the racing seems pretty good so far.
We probably haven't got a hope in hell of having time, but between the three of us, we might even do a little bit of a form special going into it over the weekend, maybe a Sunday night or something. So stay tuned to that. The part that's interesting. So it's a 500 metre straight. Am I right?
Yeah. So the 500 metres is the furthest distance. So that's about 250 before they start turning. So I think they've got a 350. Or eventually when they get all the boxes, they haven't got them obviously with COVID and other bloody delays, but. It'll be a 350, a 395, a 450 and a 500 metre start. At the moment, the 500s are fixed and they're there. And the roll-on boxes are there for the 395, which is what the Cup is going to be run over those, I think it's 7 or 8 heats on Friday night with some pretty special grounds like Power Buddy and Typhoon Semi and Co going around. Ferdinand Boy got beat there on Saturday. It's going to be a pretty good series, even though it's over an uncharacteristic 395 metres. They'll eventually have the 4 distances, so the 350 will have a tick over 100 metre run to the first turn, which is similar to what the Bendigo 425 is. So that's the shortest run to the first turn, and then your 500 metre will end up having a 250 metre run to the first turn. So it's like tacking on a Bendigo home bend and straight onto a Hillsville 300 metre start.
If you can get that, if you can get your head around that, you're going.
Yeah, I did. I got it.
How was received? Because they raced. What they have the first was at 6:30 the next morning or something, wasn't it? Or 8:30 it might have been Saturday morning. How did the track play and how was it received?
Yeah, very good. I mean, the nomination's been good, and obviously it's a long time. It's been 1,100 odd days since they raced, so obviously the locals are keen to get back racing, and a few of these Cup runners had hit-outs as well, obviously, and they raced Saturday. There were 12 races Saturday. They raced another 12 races on Monday. A full trial session, I think, there yesterday and today, and then they got the heats here on Friday night, and I think they're racing on the Monday and then back up the Cup night on Australia night. So it's a pretty busy time for the club, and Clark and the crew are probably a bit rusty in terms of doing the work, but they certainly had to hit the ground running and run those trial sessions and race meetings in the first couple of weeks.
No, I like it. I think it's innovative. I'm sure there'll be a lot of, I suppose, the traditionalists that say, oh, we don't need it. There'll be other people saying, oh, we need more of it. But I do think it's good and that it's going to be novel. And look, I encourage everyone to tune into our coverage because we will probably be doing, not that I've run this, Daniel, I haven't run this one past Hales just yet, but I reckon we'll do a couple of interviews, Hales, at different points of the track and get some people's perspective on how each of the dogs might handle it and include that into the coverage, I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be certainly worthwhile to get there and do a bit of that sort of stuff and get the angles and the descriptions of what that running is going to be, because it is quite unique.
It is indeed. Daniel, did you have anything for Hales before I let him go?
No, he's all good. He's right though. It's very it's when you think from a harness perspective, we've got sort of, I guess in a way, we've got three different tracks that we race on. We race on the half mile, the 1,000 metre, and then you get the big track at Menangle, the mile track. This is essentially what the dogs have got. They've got the traditional either horseshoe or one circle and a straight, and this is a straight track, and now you've got a J curve. So there's all different options, and the same with horses. Some will suit the bend, and others won't, and some suited to straight racing, and some are not. And some of our horses are suited to that half mile racing, and some prefer the big mile track. It's horses for courses, dogs for courses, and I think it's really good to offer it as a different wagering product for people as well, because it's something that hasn't been seen before.
I know.
I think that's the key there, Dan. In that horses for courses, dogs for tracks, whatever you want to say. That these tracks are terrific to have those differences and changes, but certainly you wouldn't want to see them replacing some of the traditional types as well. Exactly. I hate to see circles or horseshoes be replaced by something the same as your half miles, your 1,000 metre tracks. That they provide a completely different aspect on racing to what the mile tracks and 400 metre tracks do. So you want to have a bit of everything if you can, because you don't want to be bored and stale.
I know Alan Galloway from Alabar. He wants a horseshoe track. And he's adamant that it'll work. I'm jury's out when I watch Menangle. I don't know necessarily if Menangle works, so to make it even bigger than Menangle would be interesting, but he just thinks that a lot of standardbreds, the less turns they have to go around, the faster they'll go, and that's what he's all about. So, there's that element with it as well. So, he's big on just one turn. Mile racing over one turn is what he's keen on. So, it's something very different anyway.
I reckon that'd be from obviously not entrenched in the harness racing, but watch all three codes pretty closely. But I think it'd be pretty unique. It'd be also like the Speed Star that they do at the grounds of the match races, but I'm not certain it'd be horribly viable in terms of a visual and wagering product long term.
I think it was one of those ones too. He wasn't even worried about crowds. It's he dead set setting it up for an overseas market, which is smart thinking, because for our industry to grow, we've got to get bigger audiences. So that's a little bit of his mentality with that. It would be like you said, Hales, horses for courses, so people would be able to do their form and say, right, this has been on the U track, and then they can work their form out.
One thing to do is certainly show the pure long term speed that the animal has. That's for sure.
Definitely. All right, Hales, you can go back, count all your money.
I better go and get dinner ready. They're bringing the cash home, so I better go and put dinner on.
What are we having, a roast?
Oh, chicken. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, Daniel's not across it. Scotty Purdon's across it. There's a protest at Mildura. Right, Hales, thank you. I'll talk to you next week, Wednesday at the latest, mate.
No.
That's Troy Harley, and we've got Cam Bray that's going to come on with us possibly in a little bit when we start talking horses. But it's very interesting, isn't it, Daniel? I think it's intriguing, and like I said, tune in to either the Watchdog or GRV. I might even stream it onto I've got a sports and broadcast channel, so I might even stream it back onto that as well, so people can get as much information as they like. But what I've seen of it, I reckon it's awesome.
I've watched a few races of it now, just to sort of get an idea, purely to see what it's like, and it's quite interesting that they come around that corner and they just seem to be coming around the corner so smoothly. It's a lot different to a lot of the other races where you tend to get a lot more interference when they hit that first corner, particularly at the horseshoe shaped tracks.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, where they hit that first corner and they sort of can jam up and there's a lot of interference. From what I've seen so far, there seems to be less of that bumping when they hit that first turn, and then they just flow around the bend into the straight. So if the harness followers out there, it's really worth watching and seeing how unique this track is and what it provides.
Yep, we can't wait to be there. And as I said, try and bring some of the coverage. Rightio. We're here to talk trots, we talk dogs, we talk anything, we don't worry too much at all. We've got a Ballarat, we're going to do a big preview on that. That'll be the only meeting we'll be highlighting as we get to it a little bit later on, so don't forget that. They've got a few things on the go though. The Punters Plunge will be run on Twitter. You can contact Tim Kennedy is actually running that, and I think Mitchy Sidebottom might be involved in some of the tips as well, so that's a Twitter only thing. So if you're on Twitter, Ballarat, go to the Ballarat Harness Racing, which is BDTC, Ballarat District Trotting Club, and you'll be able to go there. And if you're in the area at Ballarat, $25 a ticket. It is a ticketed event because of COVID, so you must buy a ticket. All dining packages, all inside dining has been snaffled up. She's completely taken, but $25 a ticket to get in will give you $10 towards food. And a race book, so effectively you're paying $12 to get in, but it's a ticketed event for the COVID sanctions. So we will highlight all of those meetings very, very shortly. But I'm going to probably cover off on Shepparton the other night, Daniel, which is traditionally what we do. We start off with the main meetings and we go from there. But you were able to MC. Firstly, what was the atmosphere? I was there for the first, but I took off. I didn't watch the second. I was gone. But what was the atmosphere like after later on in the night?
Look, it was a really good night. Upstairs was full. I think there was about 180 that they had up there for dinner, and outside there was they were lined up against all the way up the straight. There was umbrellas and seating down there, and obviously the grandstand. I have to say when the cup was on, it was probably in the. What have I done? Sort of probably 3 or 4 years now of being at the Shep Cup. Well, actually, probably more than that, actually. But the crowd for the Cup was as good as it's been at any race meeting I've been to in the last couple of years. And obviously, we've had COVID as an impactor on that. But the crowd there on Saturday night for the Cup, when the Cup was on itself, they were 10 deep. She was packed, and the noise was up. And certainly when they turned for home and Lochinvar Art was in front, they were really starting to get into it. And even when they hit the line, they were still cheering. It was a great atmosphere. I think Macca was absolutely delighted with the numbers that he had. I'm not sure what officially they were, but certainly what we got was probably a bit more than what was anticipated, given everything that's been going on in the last week or two. And obviously Bendigo was impacted a little bit with cancellations and so forth with the COVID situation, but Shep seemed to do pretty well out of it last week. So a good turnout, good racing, and it was certainly from a club perspective. I think they'll be very pleased with how it went, leading up to what's a massive event in November when they host a heat of the Inter-Dominion.
Yeah. It was, and it was good. I think it was great. I thought the atmosphere as soon as I got there was really, really good on that way. I've got a few questions which I will get back to. And Peter Doyle, good evening to you. There's no hassles there. The Cup, it was probably more than what it lived up to be.
It was a great race.
Yeah.
I mean, we get people complain about the leaders get to the favourites get to the lead. They're just terrible races. This was a really good tactical race, and there was a lot of different things at play. Lochinvar Art and Spirit of St. Louis had their own battle at the back there, and then you had Mark Da Vinci, who got pretty keen in front and was running them along. And then you throw in a horse like Western Sonador, who looked like at the 350 metre mark, I thought this is going to go straight past them and win. And obviously just sort of just knocked up in the last little bit. But it was an intriguing race. You could tell you run this race the same field. You run it 3 weeks later. Lochinvar Art probably wins it by 10 metres. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It was purely just his first up from such a long time off the scene, but he still went enormous. They went 27-7 the first quarter, and he was 3 wide, probably the last 100 metres of that, making his move. And they still went 29-1 the second quarter when he eventually got to the breeze. He was so tough. And the thing that probably cost him in the end was Mark Da Vinci giving up as quickly as it did. If it had gone for another couple of 100 metres, and not that Spirit of St. Louis was pocketed or anything like that, but if he had had that horse on his inside and not left him exposed as far out as he did, it might have made it might have been a different result, possibly. But in saying all of that, Spirit of St. Louis was a fantastic run. It was a hell of a drive by Jack Callaghan. I obviously interviewed him after the race. He is the coldest bloke you've ever come across. He was as cool as he knew how good that horse was. I asked him. I said, "Did you think you could win? You know, with the run you had?" He said, "I thought I could win the race before it started." And he was not being up himself or anything like. He was just saying how he thought it was. He was absolute gentleman. It was a pleasure to interview him. And look, he drove the horse tactically. He drove it perfectly. He made sure Lochinvar was behind him when he wanted to be, and he made sure he was in front of him when he needed him to be. And that was when he made that move and got to the death at the bell. It was a super race, and if that's what we get the next few weeks, that'll be fantastic.
Definitely. I think there's a lot to come. We talked about tracks just there before with Troy Harley and the likes. I know, speaking to Luke from time to time, there are some horses that don't enjoy Menangle. Now, this horse, if I get Cam on in a little bit, this horse, he's formed, like he's grown a leg since joining Luke McCarthy's. But then once he gets against those big ones, maybe he doesn't have that little tactical advantage. And Luke quite often talks about being on a smaller track, so it's just that little bit tighter. Everything's that little bit tighter. You don't get quite as much room, and some horses really relish it. So he might be one of those horses that relishes it. And if that's the case, when we get to talking Ballarat later on, drawing one, if he relishes that sort of, he's going to be in it up to his ears. And protest has been dismissed at Mildura. Must say too, by Sweet Lou, and there's heaps of those. I've done a lot of sales inspections going around too, but hence the reason I changed the hat, Daniel. You saw I changed the hat. You knew
I did see that.
You knew I was up to something else. It was a good card of racing. Majestuoso was absolutely terrific as well in winning. Great to have him back. He is that little bit of X factor about some of our trotters we got at the minute because of his explosive high speed.
And that's the thing with him. He's got really, really high speed, and he's got a really devastating sprint on him. I'm just trying to fiddle here with the screen behind me, just hoping it doesn't come up with the sound. There we go. Just turned that off. He's got a great sprint on him, and for about 20 metres, or about 100 metres from home, I thought, maybe Kate might have gone a bit too early on this guy, because Sundog's Courage was absolutely flying home, and he got within 1.5 metres, and he almost pinched it. But Majestuoso, he's just got to be safe for that one run. He's tough. Don't get me wrong, he's tough. But if he saved up for one sprint at them and they've run the race to suit, there's not a trotter quicker than him over 200 metres. He is so fast.
Still one of the best memories. Myself and Brendan Baker got to do the Redwood Rattler from Melbourne. We basically hosted the whole train on the way through, right through to Maryborough, and we were there on that day. And I think Kelly Stewart-Mitchell she's featured a bit in the show. She's got a couple of messages there for me in a sec to get to. I think she might have been still working for Andy Gaff at the time, but if not, she still would remember it. Bought hot pies and donuts down the outside and was just breathtaking, that speed that he had over the long trip. He's got gate speed. He's just, like he might, I don't know, it'd be an interesting one to see where he gets to. He might just be that, like, 1/4% behind the real good ones, or not. He needs everything to go his way when he races him, but I just love him. I just think there's something about him that you just really got to like.
There is something about you just know with him in a race that you're always going to be some sort of hope. And I mean, even if they ran a half in 63 or something like that, over the 2100 or 2200, whatever it might be, even if they ran a half in 63, and if he's within 10 or 12 metres of them, he can still sprint over the top of them and beat them. He's got that much point to point speed. He was superb there, and like he was. If it had been another 50 metres, he gets beat. I've got no doubt he gets beat. But, he's just got that really good sprint on him, and he was able to put him away just.
And Kelly's timed in there. She just said, best Trotters Derby ever. he was just so fast. It was just brilliant to watch. Like, yeah, you couldn't actually see him. That was probably the one disappointment. You lost him because of the crowd that you get at Redwood Day, people over the fence, and then you saw him again. We were standing up on the hill, and it was a little bit tricky, but it was actually a ripping night. Other highlights from Shep, mate?
Well, Kate Gath had a great night. She had a heap of winners there across the night. She had Captain Wilson in the third race, who led all the way. They went 154.9. Cracking time, just got ahead of Jets Hart, who came home. The local was storming home. The other one, she had Sanday, which led all the way. It was the longest price winner of the lot. There was a bit of interference in that race, which sort of marred it a little bit, but it was still too good. Majestuoso, obviously, and then she finished off with Scallywag Sam, who hadn't won for 2 years. Went round at a threes on quote and just got it. And when I say just, I reckon there was hardly anything in the photo finish. I think Snooze might have thought he got up on Coocher Lane?
Coocher Lane, yeah.
Yeah, and cause when they went past me at the post, I thought it had won, but Sam had managed to hold on. So she drove 4 winners for the night. It was a fantastic night for her there. And probably a couple of the other winners there. Hi, my name is Jeff, won the first for Russell. Jack and Selma Moran took the drive. He's a nice horse. He's lightly raced, 156.1. He was impressive in the first, and the Graham Head Memorial 3-year-old, the 2 horses that Quinella disc raced, interest free. Look, I
love him. Absolutely love him.
I was prepared to knock him. Leading up, I thought I just didn't know how he'd go. Sort of, he's been racing so hard the last little bit, but he was tough. Like he really had no right to get past Lochinvar Jag. When he sort of kicked turning for home at about the 200 metre mark, I thought he's going to struggle to run him down. But it was the last 50 metres he really put his head down and put his nose out and won. But those 2 horses, Interest Free and Lochinvar Jag, both really nice types going forward, that's for sure. But it was a really good meeting there. And look, I said this on the radio coverage towards the back end of the night. Credit to the track staff there at Shepparton on Friday and Saturday. That track had nearly 2 inches of rain dumped on it on Friday, and they had it in the best condition possible Saturday night, and they broke the track record in the Cup. Like, that rain was torrential on Friday afternoon. It was pretty isolated. There was not much rain in other parts of Shep. There was a little bit, obviously, but nothing to the degree that they got at Shep. But to have the track in the condition that they had it on Saturday night, and to have horses running 154s over the sprint trip and then running 156 over the long distance for the Cup, like, fair dinkum, they would have done a power of work just to make the meeting go ahead, given the rain that they had. They should be commended for the work they did.
Absolutely. Now we got a few comments coming in. We're going to get to Alex Hurley in a sec. I'll go to Alex now anyway. She goes, everyone watched Shep. She doesn't want us to do any more of a race. I'm going to say one thing before you do, Alex. I think both my wife's horses went terrific. I thought you've highlighted two races there. We ran third in one of them and second in the other. I was very, very impressed with our little man, B Little. He's a bit maligned and the rest, but he's in a rich vein of form at the minute. So hopefully a win for him's not far off the thing. But I love the run of our mare in the last. Scotty Purden asked me there before about how I think she'll go at Ballarat. If she continues to go the way she's going to be very hard to beat shortly. I think they went down the back in 28 dead, and she took about 5 lengths off them. So
28-3, and they went 30.1 the way home. So yeah.
Actually, on that, the guys on Trots Vision, they highlighted the sectional times for Lochinvar Arts and the likes on the Trots Vision coverage, because you can get the sectionals. Now, we've all been putting these timers into the numbers. I'm just going to have a little bit of a chip. If those numbers are available for the guys hosting Trots Vision, why aren't they afforded to the rest of us? Why aren't we all allowed to actually see those sectional times? So hopefully there's something going on with that at the minute, but I would love to see the sectionals and see what they're going. I highlighted both our horses there. I'd love to know what Lucinda Mack went down that back straight in. I think it was low flying, and I think people will actually see that. So just a little bit of please. I've asked the question. We've been doing them for well over a month. It's been about 5 weeks, and they say it's still in the testing. But Nikita Ross was able to give all the sectionals that Lochinvar Art had the other night, and I still haven't been able to see where we can find it. So I think it's key to everything. Right, Alex Hurley, regular contributor, got a winner, so she doesn't care. She doesn't care. Did you happen to watch the first race at Kilmore the other night? I think
no, I missed it.
I think Alex might have been just getting a little bit ahead of herself. I think she thought, we're home here, we're home. And then, I feel for her. I dead set feel for her. Everything just went a little bit pear-shaped. She had a good night. It could have been an absolute ripping night. It was. I encourage people to go back and watch that race because it was one of those nights, and I'm sure Alex was probably feeling it. That is for sure. My phone's just frozen on me, Daniel. So I've lost a couple of the feeds at the minute. I just got to. Don't know what's going on here. I'll get out of it in a sec. We'll be right. No, the feed's still there. I've just lost the questions. So Kelly Stewart Mitchell and Daz saying about the sign that is behind me. Before I get on to some of these other ones. I cannot get out of this. I've got no service. That's what my issue is. That is actually a sign that my wife did for me. So those pictures, they took a photo. We know when it is. It was the first of the Breeders' Crowns, I think, at Melton. And I was driving a horse called Mikey's Son. And I think it was Stuart took the photos. But they featured those in all the harness races at the time. So as a lovely birthday present, she actually did those up for me and came up as a birthday present. So that is what they are. And yes, I do change them quite regularly. I have so many sponsors. I want to make sure I have the right thing behind when I'm doing sponsors. Sometimes you've got to look at the breeding of certain horses and the likes. So you've got to be think on your feet, Daniel. It gets a little bit tricky, this job, from time to time.
Very true.
Unfortunately, I've lost bloody service with me phone. Now I'm right. It's come back. It's not.
You're going to pay the bill.
No, Marie does. That's Marie's job. So
Right.
So that's what that is. Rightio. We're going to have a little bit of a breather, Daniel. There's still got a few things to cover off. I'm probably going to get Cam Bray on. There's quite a few things actually still to cover off, especially when you write something wrong like Terrain Cup, and it's not the Terrain Cup. It was actually Traralgon Greyhound Cup. But I caught up with Gary Newton. Now, BOTRA is one of the oldest associations, owners and breeding associations in the world. In Australia, and it's celebrating its 100th year anniversary this weekend. And Gary did what I've encouraged everyone to do. He reached out and asked if we would be able to promote what they've got going on. And I thought, well, I'll do one better. I thought, well, I'll rang him up and we did an interview. So here is my interview now with Gary. And once this finishes, we'll be back. We're going to do got a few other things we've got to cover off on yearling sales and then a bit of dissecting of Ballarat. But I'll throw to this interview with Gary as soon as I find the right button to push, because I don't want to hit the wrong one. And we'll be back very, very shortly. Righto, joining me now on Loose Lines is South Australia's very own Gary Newton. Firstly, welcome to Campbell's Comments, mate.
Yeah, g'day, Paul. It's good to be on again.
It is indeed. I don't know if you've been on the On Loose Lines part, though. You've been on the Campbell's Comments part.
Campbell's Comments, yeah.
We've got some good announcements to make, but I want to make sure that all clubs are aware, and when I say all clubs anywhere in Australia are aware to use this platform to promote what they've got going on. And the likes Gary's gave me a call out. We recorded this on the Tuesday afternoon because I'll probably struggle tomorrow night to get it up and done beforehand. But if you've got something and you want to get the word out there and make people aware of things that are going on, please reach out to me, because that's what I try to do, promote everything from participants to studs to clubs and organisations, a little bit like BOTRA, who have hit a major milestone, Gary.
Certainly have. On Saturday, officially, we turn 100 years old. So I feel it, but yeah.
You don't look a day over 70, Gary.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, yeah, that's probably about the right ballpark. They reckon you age 5 years after every 5 years every birthday after 60, so you're probably quite right. So, but no, seriously, BOTRA does turn 100 on the weekend, or in 2022, and we've got some. We're going to have a big meeting at Globe Derby. Would you believe Globe Derby's in lockdown?
Serious?
Yeah, they've had a COVID scare again, and they've had to lock down for 14 days, but it's not stopping us. We're going to be using the BOTRA room, which is totally separate from the Globe Derby clubhouse, so to speak. And we have around about 45 people, guests coming. Ross Sugars is coming over from your neck of the woods. He's going to be our special guest. Ross was president of South Australian BOTRA back in the 80s and vice president for a number of years. And we've also got some great entertainment happening. We've got some rehoming displays. The Pony Trots is on. And would you believe we're actually going to run a sweepstakes on the Bottra Cup, and anybody who's on course can fill out an entry form. After race 4, we're going to draw a name associated with a horse, and if that horse happens to win, you're going to win a share in a horse with Aaron Bain Racing for the ongoing. And I believe Aaron's going to put up a percentage of his trotter that he's bought for the Trotters Cup Series. It starts in February, so you're going to be able to follow that trotter going all the way through. So well done, Aaron. And there's a heap of other prizes. There's a voucher for a night out in SA Hummer, which is a great way to get around. That's worth over $500. We have Chris Nielsen from Nielsen Gas and Plumbing's donating $200 voucher, so and all the way down. So everybody who draws a horse will win a prize, and the major prize is worth over $2,500. And interesting, if you happen to draw Aaron's horse in the Bottra Cup, that whoever draws that horse, regardless of whether it wins or whatever, will get 5% of the horse for the night. So they'll own 5% of the horse on the night. So whatever prize money it does earn, they'll get 5% off, which is a great initiative from Aaron Bain Racing.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to keep this on to Bottra in a sec, but I will touch on Aaron before we finish up. But 100 years, you said that it started off in a little cafe at the bottom of, in Rundle Street, there in South Australia?
Yeah, exactly. Anyone who knows Adelaide knows Rundle Mall, of course, and Rundle Street is the continuation of Rundle Mall. And it started, as I said, 100 years ago. A group of well-judged gentlemen got together over a cup of coffee, no doubt, and maybe a cream bun as well, and come up with Bottra and what they should do. Or probably 7 or 8 years later, Wally Messenger took over as president, and people would know Wally Messenger, of course, with Minuteman and those sorts of horses. And he basically got together a group of about 70 participants, and they formed Bottra, and they had representatives in the country areas as well, at Mount Gambier, Port Pirie and all those areas. And it just grew from there, and Bottra's just gone forward in leaps and bounds. It's a great history. It really is a great history, and I believe we are the oldest Bottra or Breeders' Association anywhere in Australia. So
continuously too for that 100 years.
And
that could be one of the kickers. I love history. I'm big on history, and I think we've got to make sure we continue to capture history and showcase it. So I think it's great. And I think it's great that you guys are celebrating it over there. And going forward, even though they are tricky times, obviously people are still able to attend Globe Derby, just not the actual amenities, I gather.
They can't go into the bar area, they can't go into the gaming area or the TAB, but we do have a bookmaker on course for anyone who wants to have a bet. They are providing a pop-up bar.
Yep.
So you'll be able to have a drink, and Jive Cafe, which is one of our major sponsors, is providing food for the night. So, and if you haven't, for those in South Australia, if you haven't tried Jive Cafe, you need to get to Globe Derby and try some of Tony's food. He's a very big harness racing man, and he does a wonderful job catering. So, it should be a good night. It should be a great night, and they reckon it's going to be around about 31 degrees. So, hopefully, it'll be a great night. And of course, Ross Sugars will have some great stories from the past to tell. So
I'd love to be there. I love listening to Ross, some of the tales he can do. I've done a couple of podcasts with him and chats with him. He's a very passionate person. He's a very passionate South Australian, so I'm sure he's looking forward to getting back. If you're wondering where you go when you go there, there'd be nothing better than sitting on the grass watching the trots there at Globe Derby up on that hill. It'd be perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect weather.
Absolutely. Up on the hill, bring along a deck chair, or there's seating available in front of the Bottra stand as well. Always good fun for the kids. The pony trots will be there. It will be a very interesting and hopefully a successful night. A couple of the big syndicates have got runners in that have qualified. I should mention Garrard's Horse and Hound, who are the major sponsors of the Bottra Cup. And I also should mention Cobbity Equine Farm. Belinda McCarthy has donated a service to For a Reason for the Mares final that's going ahead, and there's some really good, nice horses going around in that. So, and yeah, as I said, there's lots and lots of sponsors. Anyone who draws a horse will win a prize, and hopefully you'll draw the winner and win that share in a horse just simply by being on course on Saturday night.
Very, very key. I'm big on promoting, as I keep saying, I like clubs, I like people getting involved, and the rest and promoting what they're doing. Huge shout out to Aaron Vane, a man that thinks differently. He's getting people involved, he's embracing the sport, he takes it to another level in a different way. Kate Hargraves and the likes have raced horses with him, in conjunction with him. They're all similarly driven. Charlotte Mooney, Nigel Armstrong in New Zealand. There's a lot of people that know we've got to promote this sport, bring it to the world in a different light and in a different way. Hats off to you, Aaron Vane. I'm going to have a chat with you very, very shortly. I know he's been clocking up some milestones. I think he's 200 winners or 300 winners just the other day.
Yeah, they had 200 winners, yes.
So I think well done to you for that. But hats off to you. Above and beyond all that, it's not, you don't get measured on the amount of winners you get or anything. You know, for mine, I think positive feedback is what Aaron's been able to achieve, and I think well done to him. And if you're in South Australia, check out Aaron Vane on both. He's on Facebook and he's got his own website. But if you're not in South Australia, still go and check it out, because there is lots of packages there for people to be able to get involved in the harness racing industry.
Yeah, that's right. And Aaron races horses all around Australia, as you know, Paul. Yep. So it's not just here in South Australia. But he is a South Australian, and you know, he works closely with his great mate Jake Webster, who of course in Summit Bloodstock, him and Jamie Dunberger Smith, and well, aren't they having a run between all of them? And Spirit of St. Louis winning the two cups, the back-to-back cups. I see he's drawn one in the Ballarat Cup on Friday night. It's going to be hard to beat again. Of course, Aaron's in the ownership of that as well, along with Rod Curnow, who's a South Australian, and another syndicate wears Fox's hats, I think they're called, which is Rocky Butterworth, who is also involved in Aaron Vane racing. So, yeah, great South Australians, and it's amazing. I was actually doing a little bit of history on South Australia and a little bit about Botra and all the rest of it, obviously for the Botra magazine that I produce. And one of my all cards George, we call him. He does a fair bit of history, and he's come up with some amazing stories about the 100 years, and tracing right back to that first meeting in Rundle, in the cafe in Rundle Mall. But when you think about it, we've had some Alabar started here, as you know, the number one breeding farm in Australia. We've had some really, we talk about the Sugars and the Websters and those sorts of Justices and those sorts of people, all South Australians. I was doing a little bit of research on Arkin, the stallion, and what an amazing, and of course he raced here, was unbeaten in his first 20 starts, had won 27 races in total, and he went to stud and produced Richmond Lass and Bylaw and those sorts of horses. So yeah, South Australia's got a great history in harness racing, and
we must keep it. And lots get said, and lots get said about how negative it is and how things are going, not going great all the time. Let's just be positive. We don't have to dwell on the negatives. Let's be positive, and let's get harness racing back up and going where it should be in South Australia.
Absolutely. And we have a new CEO here. I don't think you've caught up with him, Dean Elliott, yet.
No, I definitely need to.
You need to. He is proactive. He is a very thinker from outside the box. And we don't have the money. We don't have the market share, all that sort of thing, but we can do positive stuff. And just this little promotion that Botra's putting on for their 100 years is a testimony of how we can all work together and make good things happen.
No, absolutely, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. Well done to Aaron Vane.
My pleasure.
Aaron Vane, Garrard's Horse and Hound, and Cobbity Farm as well, for getting behind us and embracing what you guys are doing. So thank you very much for giving me a bit of time, guys. Good luck on the weekend, and make sure you say hello to Papa Smurf. He likes being called Papa Smurf. That's what he looks like, little Ross Sugars, I think. So he
does a little bit, yes.
He's a champion. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thanks, Paul. Great to catch up.
Right, Daniel, we are back. It was good to catch up with Gary Newton there, live from South Australia, and Alex Hurley has chimed in there. Rundle Street, just around the corner from the old Jubilee Oval. Well, Messenger had some great horses, but Minuteman wasn't one of them. I didn't think that either, actually, when he said that. But I did think someone with the surname of Hurley might have trained that one. But and I'm pretty sure I owned that one, and I reckon Alex might know as well.
Fair chance, I would have thought.
She did indeed. And Spun Silver, she did swear a bit, of course she did. She equally as well, with a bit more luck tomorrow at Bendigo. So there's a big meeting at Bendigo, I think, tomorrow. So, which is really, really key. So definitely good luck there to Alex. And as I said, I encourage everyone in this show to get involved with us and carry on that way. I said at the start of the show, Daniel, I'm going to be... I had everything set up, and then Troy Harley went and sort of stuffed me up a bit, but I'll get it sorted in a sec. At the start of the show, it's yearling sale time and the likes, and the guys at Nutrient have given me this ad here as well to promote both the Sydney sale, which is on the 20th of February at Warwick Farm. You can see there both the dates for the 20th of February at Sydney, and then on the 3rd of April at Melbourne. So make sure you get the your Nutrient catalogue, and I'll be able to get those. Plus, if you want some yearling videos done, I'll get those done as well. But please make sure you're across of those. A lot of my clients are getting ready. I've been doing some videos for APG sale for both Durham Park, Lower Long Farms, and also Matarinka Park as well. So I've got plenty to do there, and got more and more to come. But we'll be promoting yearlings. We're going to be promoting quite a few different things. And if I had had this guy on the phone to start off with, it might have been better. We've just got to wait and see if he answers. But it's hotting up on both sides of the ditch, Daniel.
Certainly is from a sales perspective, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's sales everywhere. I actually forgot to ring him. I said to you I'd have him on. I sent you a message, and he's not going to answer me now. That'd be right. Either that or he's having a bit of fun just listening to it ringing out. So, yeah. Cam, are you there, Cam?
This is your friendly bloodstock agent Cam Bray speaking.
I had the volume down in case you gave me that same intro you give me every other time when I ring you. You're right. I was just talking. Then, and interestingly enough, I just got a notification from Brecon Farm, but to Daniel about the fact of yearling sales are really starting to hot up on both sides of the ditch. You guys had your live yearling parades both yesterday and today, and everything's in full swing there for NZB.
Yeah, it's all go, Paul. Yeah, we had about 20 of New Zealand's top trainers with us over the last couple of days, and we've been through and inspected all the yearlings in the North Island part of the sale. And we have a week off next week, then through to Canterbury, and then finish with the SPSR boys the week before the sale.
You might have a week off for what you do with NZB. You won't have a week off with me. We're really going to ramp it up, get as much publicity out there, I suppose, for as many of the vendors as we can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, well, it's a competitive market on both sides of the ditch, and it's all about getting your product out there and to be seen.
It's an interesting thing, Daniel, over there they do. I know the Southern Bred guys gets promoted a lot, but this year you managed to be able to get the farms on the North Island as well, Cam, to get combined, I suppose, and working together. They're probably fierce rivals as far as stallions and yearlings and the likes, but they're working together to get as many people to their farms as they can. Well,
it's and full well, Paul, what the life of a trainer's like. It's a very, very busy life. So to get 20 different horse trainers to take two days, virtually 2 days a week for the next 3 weeks out of their schedule, it's a tough thing to do. So everyone does have to work together to make it work, so you can get as much exposure as you can.
Yeah, and those online auctions, parades, they'll be online soon.
No, these what we've had the last 2 days. What we do is we just have a full live parade, and then what we do with the guys will put up their own media parade videos. We're pretty big emphasis here, obviously being a predominantly thoroughbred auction house. We're big on the parade videos to go on the website. So as such, we don't have a virtual parade, but live and then try and push out vendor media as well as much as we can through the website.
I know the guys at Woodlands because I do a lot for them. Theirs should be up Thursday, Friday, all their yearling videos and photos, so which is key. So make sure you get across that and keep across on the NZB. What else going on in New Zealand, mate? You got anything for us?
I've got everything for you, mate. Some of it I can't disclose on this forum, but no, it's all. No, well, really, to be fair, it's sales, really. We've got a race meeting. I've got a race meeting for the local club on Sunday at Mochikara Peninsula on the grass again. So that seems to be the flavour of the month here in New Zealand at the moment. We get huge turnovers on our grass track racing. Apart from that, no, it's just healing sales, really. It's just formalised.
Yeah, it is indeed, Daniel. I love that. You're a man from Donald. How good would it have been to have Donald harness racing at Donald on the grass track at Donald?
Look, we a couple of times because the harness track there at Donald was pretty susceptible to getting washed out. It was more of a dry weather track than it was all weather surface. The gallops track at Donald was just over or about 1,750 metres long, so you would have had basically a 2,000 metre race starting at halfway down the home straight, and it would have been magic, and it still would be now. To be fair, it's got a bit of camber on it, and there's no crossings or anything like that because they've removed them with sort of no one using the trotting track anymore. But it would be super. It would really, really be good. Big sweeping bend from about the 1,000 to the top of the 400 metre mark. Be awesome to watch. Would have been awesome to watch.
Yeah, it would indeed, Cam. It's something we don't embrace over here in Australia. You Kiwis seem to love it.
Well, we and it's just probably by default really now that, because we sell so many of our better horses out of New Zealand, we have this massive pool of, 40 to 45s, and, we'll have 11 or 12 races on Sunday, and probably 8 or 9 of them will be that grade, one derivative of another, 40 to 45s, and we'll have, 15, 16, 17 horse fields. So it's, with $3 and $4 favourites, being short on the day.
Yeah, which is actually pretty amazing, I must say. I just think we're crazy here. Like I said, Daniel's from Donald. I've raced at Donald. I've actually had a fall at Donald Trotting Track of all places. But I've raced there, and it just seems ridiculous that they race half a dozen times, if that, for the gallops, and that's it. They just sit idle for so long. I think we should be able to embrace them in both ways. But and try and do what you guys do.
The big thing, Paul, just to interrupt you, the big thing here in New Zealand, and I 100% agree, one thing why it works so well in New Zealand is it's about the only time now you can actually get a family back to the racetrack, mum, dad and the kids, and we would spend, the most we spend of our race day cost goes into kids entertainment, because, mum and dad come for the day on the punt and a few drinks, and you've got to provide the entertainment for the kids, and that's, if we didn't do that, we'd get no one.
Yep. And no, I think it's great. I just love it. I think it's something that we should definitely embrace. I don't have a lot else for you, Cameron. I don't feel the need to give you a hard time.
That's not like you, Paul.
Well, no. Myself and Daniel have been talking for a little while. We've been going an hour and 10 minutes so far. I don't know if you heard last week, Daniel. They sold a son of Sweet Lou for $450,000. A horse called Duke of Cornwall. It's going to, I believe, Luke McCarthy. I think we found out, didn't we, last week, Cam?
I think that's the rumour. That's the rumour. It's going there for a season, then on its way to North America. So no, look, it's a very, very impressive horse. Had 4 wins on a trot here. Set a record, I think, at Winton or one of those tracks down there. So yeah, it's one of the dear ones we've had for a wee while.
It is indeed. Do you have to go, Cameron, or you want to do a bit of form with us, or are you going to get on your frog and toad?
Hey, do you like, mate? I'm just sitting out here, buddy, enjoying life. So I'll ride the ride with you.
Rightio. So on Friday, before you'll like this one, have you looked at the Friday meetings, Daniel, at all?
I've had a brief look because there are obviously races at Cobram on Friday afternoon. I have looked at that. 10
meetings?
Yeah, I did see that. You look at it and it's just, what's going on? But there's just absolutely, you've got Cobram, Wagga, Tamworth, South Australia, which is effectively 2 tracks, Melton, Dubbo, Launceston, Albion Park, Gloucester Park and Bustleton.
So there's one metro track. That's the other part of it. One metro race meeting. So
you've got Melton, Albion Park, and Gloucester Park. So you've got 3
tracks,
metro tracks,
but they're not racing metro meetings.
I didn't have. Yeah.
So there's only one metro meeting in amongst all that. That's not bad going, is it, Cam?
That's huge, mate. And I just can't believe you got 3 in one state in sort of, almost regional New South Wales. It's fantastic. The field didn't stand up.
Yeah, it is indeed. And the other little stat out of that, Ben Yole. Yeah, Cam, we'll play a little bit of guess how many. How many horses do you reckon Ben Yole's got going around at Launceston on Friday?
Hang on, let me have a count up. No, I wouldn't have a clue. It'd be plenty, wouldn't it?
54.
He's a good man, isn't he? He's a good man.
I'm just counting how many are in for the meeting. 34.
54.
No, how many in total?
Oh,
he won't have the whole meeting.
No, he might have close to 3/4 of it. He's still working it out. I'll tell you a little funny thing, Cam, while he's working that.
There's 93 for the meeting.
54. I wasn't far off when I said the 3/4. So, yeah, so he's over half. Yeah. The interesting little side note too, we had one going around at Mildura tonight that's scratched. I'd say he must have bought it, changed the trainer, and then they've scratched it. But it was going around at Mildura tonight.
That's a fair trip. That's a fair trip to get up there.
Grant and the boys are coming over on the boat. They'll have a horse going the other way on the boat just to get back to Launceston Friday on time. Daniel, we are going to go to the fields, and hopefully this all works. It does. I didn't even check this one. Oh no, I've got to do that other thing. I keep forgetting to do this. But big metro meeting at Ballarat on Friday night, mate.
Saturday night even.
Saturday night, even better. Yep. Look at you go. You're writing your own jokes.
Correct. Yeah, look, it's a really good card, and obviously Ballarat Cup is always a big meeting and always a big race, and always the champion horses seem to win this race. It doesn't matter what time of what field you get. It seems to be always one of the real top liners that always wins it. This race is. The barrier draw first came out when I first looked at the.
Where are you going? We're starting at race 1. We'll do the whole card. We'll get to. You don't want to do the whole card. All right. We'll brush over it. But before you get started, I'm happy just to brush over it. There's no problems there at all. But
all right.
But Cam, over the last 3 meetings, Bendigo, Shepparton, and now Ballarat Cup. They've had these mares races, and I know this is a bit of a sore point for a lot of you Kiwi guys over here. Aren't they good betting races, Daniel? They're 67 to 89, almost your Metro class mares. They're bringing up something different every week, and they're just really, really competitive betting races. And I know there's a lot of Kiwis out there screaming for more mares races. Cam, this is what you guys are after.
Well, this is exactly why there's a horse in that race. I'm off and gone. Well, off and gone here in New Zealand is the exact reason why it's there. 4-year-old Mulder mares are just not existent here in New Zealand, and the smart guys are sending them over there,
Yeah, and they're good betting races, Daniel. Like last week's was a ripping betting race as well.
Well, last week's race was Total Diva won it, paid $26. For the life of me, I still don't know how Blake Jones got it up on the sprint lane. I thought it had gone inside about 15 pegs, but you watched the replay and it actually did go inside, was well inside them. He managed to squeeze through a needle eye opening, but that race, there was 18 metres between first and ninth, and they went 154.5. So, yep. And there was less than 10 metres between the first 5. So it's a really competitive racing, and the favourite ended up running 4th, but the favourite was $2.60. So it was still a very competitive betting race.
And I think you'll find Bendigo was something similar. I can't for the life of me remember who actually won it. I know Faraday Hanover was actually in Bendigo. And it was the favourite, so it didn't win. I know that.
Shayella won that race by a fair space.
That's right.
By about 10 or 12 metres, and they still went 156 in that run as well.
Yep. Trot race, we've got one in that. We're hoping for a little bit of luck, but the trot race is race number 2. These breakthrough pace heats, I didn't see all the conditions on these, Daniel. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they've got a good field of horses involved.
Yeah, there's several of those heats. I noticed the conditions on them myself. I'm just actually going into the form because it'll tell me more. So restricted to horses which have not won more than one race with advertised stake money of $30,000. So effectively, if you haven't won a country cup, most of the country cups, but not all of them, but if you've won a country cup, you're pretty much out of the ballpark with this. But it's a good concept, and the final's worth 50,000 on the 29th, so next week. So well worth running in, and yeah, they've got a probably not chock full full number fields, but still good races nonetheless.
Yeah, well, there's 2 heats, 9 horses in each, so 18 horses. So the old-fashioned MO, we've got one in that again, B Little. But my name is Jeff. Daniel, I don't think we have to go too much further on this ex-Kiwi, do we?
He's which race are you looking at? I'm trying to
race 4, the Sid Hill.
Yeah. Now that he's drawn barrier 1, with his draw barrier 1, it's going to make him really hard to beat from that position. As I said, Captain Wilson went really good last week. Pantano Stride's form's just wavered a little bit, 3 runs from a spell, but could certainly improve. But he looks like a really nice type, and I think they've got country cups lined up for him. So he'll and he's only a 68 at the moment. So if he's going to race in country cups, he's got a few more wins to bank just before then.
Yeah, it definitely does. The EB Cochrane Trotters Cup Group 2 event, Cameron, over the years, it's been a bit of a time-honoured race. Probably with the exception of a couple of horses, it's probably a little bit of a disappointment this year, this race.
It's just sort of...
Yeah, right, okay. Well,
You're right, Cam?
Sorry, mate. I got Golden. I'll just say Majestic Man.
We're waiting on you, New Zealander. He might have gone.
Oh, you want to talk to me now?
Yeah, we're waiting on you.
I'm here. I'm here. Oh, right. Won't be the first time that happens. No, Majestic Man. It'd be interesting to see if he's on the bounce back again, or what's the story there?
Yeah, it's a good draw for him in a way, but Travel Bug might end him shuffling back a couple more than what he helps. But we have got the reigning Inter-Dominion champion. We've also got the Murray Mile winner in I'm Ready Jet. Should have told me, Daniel. Got to change the hats. Got to remember what I'm doing. And Hopeful Beauty, they'll be hoping she can bounce back. I hear they had a little bit of an issue with tying up at there. They had a few issues with both these mares, and they seem to be on top of it. Hopeful Beauty was a little bit disappointing last start, but they believe that was still a bit of an issue, whether it's a bug or something. But a couple of these horses just been struggling a little bit at Anton Galino's, but she couldn't have been any more impressive last 2 weeks ago, last start though, than what she was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's probably a couple that are not. We're sort of probably a couple of them missing the absolute top liners, but when you look into the field, Kian Lavana is obviously a mare that's returning from a spell, but she's raced really consistently and really strongly against the best 4-year-old mare, so she's sort of stepping up to the open company. Sundance Courage, as we mentioned earlier, was 10 yards away from causing an upset of big proportions last week in the race at Shepparton. So he's got to be some sort of hope based on that sort of form, particularly if he can keep it. But yeah, the ones off that back row will certainly be the testing material. Powder Keg obviously blew it completely last week at the start. He's out of the draw now. That might actually suit him. He might just settle a bit better and be able to come around them and be more competitive. And I see that Dave Baran's...
I was about to say that.
So I'd say Lisa might have just might have got a bit annoyed with herself the other night.
No, she got a suspension in the last.
Oh, she got a suspension.
Yeah.
She did, I will say this: when she went past me after she galloped, it wasn't a real nice look on her face. I don't think she was really impressed with the horse. So, but look, I think they have Allswell Travel as well. So it's not the absolute creme de la creme, but there's some still very nice horses. And when you've got an Inter-Dominion winner in there, he's going to make it very interesting as well.
Cam, did I see today Isaac H is over here with Josh Dickey?
Say that again, sorry?
Is Isaac H, is he over here now with Josh Dickey? Did I see that today?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything today, so I couldn't answer that, sorry.
Yeah, I just think I saw Sammy put a post up, so I'm not sure on that. I'll have to double check that one. But there's going to be. I think there's a good opportunity for some high class trotters over here with a few of these well and truly out of form in a really good time honoured race. But it's still a good field, and I wish everyone all the best. But great to see Murray Law back too, Daniel. And good luck.
It is good to see him. Hopefully can bring back that New South Wales form, and he's a top horse. So you hope he runs well on Saturday night.
Yeah, he's over here, Isaac H. Alex Hurley said to me he's nominated there for Geelong. So yeah, he is. He's here. I'm sure I saw Sammy put a social media post up of something today. So anyway, that's okay. The 80 on 120, basically the consolation to the Ballarat Cup. Quite a few of these horses gone around in some of our cups just recently, Daniel.
It's a good race. It's a really nice race. They're not, again, it's not the absolute top liners in this. Obviously, most of them are in the main race. But when you've got a horse that's won a Group 1 and first up in a Cobram Cup, you've got Aphorism, that's in Boots Electric, of course. You've got Aphorism, who was very, very good at Shepparton on Saturday night. Phoenix Prince, was first up the other night when running ninth. That was at Bendigo in the Bendigo Cup. I'm just having a look to see. Got beaten 15 metres first up for quite some time, so he'll no doubt be improved from the run. If Better Be the Bomb found some good form, he'd certainly be a chance. I think if you ran this race 12 months ago, he'd probably nearly be favourite or close enough to it. The form he was in, so it's a very competitive race, and a good, it's a good one to follow, a good one to lead up to the Cup.
Did Cruz Bromack win a New Zealand Cup?
Yeah.
And he's in he's in this. it's unbelievable.
He ran fourth at Melton in November of 2020. And he was first up in the Bendigo Cup as well, and he was obviously favourite, and he's run a very close second. So he's probably going to be really hard to beat too.
You nearly suspect they didn't enter him for the Ballarat Cup, because you would have thought he'd have been a chance of getting in.
Not sure. I did see the noms. I know there was a few that were sort of double nominated, but I'm not. I couldn't be sure if he was in that group of nominations or not.
The Ballarat Cup, Cam, have you had a chance to have a look at this?
I've seen the horse during the poll. I've been talking about it all day with a few sweet moves to sale over here in the yearling sales, and I think as of lunchtime yesterday, interesting stat here, boys. He signed 177 individual runners in Australasia for 124 individual winners, and you'd have to say Spiritus and Lou, his recent form, he'll have to go close, won't he?
Say that again. I haven't got my right hat on, but say that again. What'd you say? He's had 174 individual starters.
177 individual runners for 124 individual winners. That's a good statistic, really, when you sit down and analyse it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you met Mark Hughes from Woodlands?
And it'll be higher. It'll be higher, mate, because I tell you, he wins races on every card now.
Yeah. Well, we highlighted one Rod Barker drove the last at Hamilton the other day, and it was a sweet look. They just pop up here, there, and everywhere, and there's a lot of 2-year-olds getting around as well.
Yeah, it's a really good type. I don't know why all of a sudden, but some really nice horses here in New Zealand. By the side, really nice horses.
Mark Hughes and Andrew Grierson will keep telling you they're very, very keen on him, and there's a reason why. And they're generally not too wrong, the guys at Woodlands. Daniel, the rest of this field, I might let you go through that. I've actually got to do something very important. It's called turn the lights on, because I'm getting very dark here, mate, while you're
starting
going.
to fade a bit on me. I was a bit worried. Look, it's a cracking race, and even more so from how the draws ended up, falling with Spirit of St. Louis in 1, Lochinvar Art 2, and Max Delight in Barrier 3 makes it even more interesting, given the fact that he's got electric gate speed, and he can certainly use it. Now, Lochinvar Art and Max Delight trialled the other night at Shep. Max Delight obviously was able to lead, and Artie was drawn on his outside, and wasn't obviously going to be pushed out in the trial. But it will be interesting to see how those two come out of the gate, particularly Max Delight, because he'd be certainly looking to try and get to the front and control things from there, or take a sit, whatever the case may be. But it's interesting how those three players have sort of landed 1, 2, and 3, and then you've got Expensive Ego, who's coming in off the second line. who draw probably suits it a little bit, and then you've got Amazing Dream also on that second row. It's a deep race, and I mean it always is the Ballarat Cup, but it's made even more so because of the draw, how it's fallen. The tactics early on are going to be very interesting, but obviously fixed odds, so the money's certainly come for him.
Cam, we know a lot of your good races over there. We probably don't know all of them unless you're a die-hard, New Zealand enthusiast and the likes. The Ballarat Cup, it would be on a lot of Kiwis' radars, I would imagine, mainly for the exploits of Mark Purdon and what they've been able to do with this race. But are people aware of the Ballarat Cup and the build-up to what's a great carnival we have over here?
Oh, definitely. As I say, I've been with 20-odd trainers, and it's been a hot topic of conversation. It's definitely one of the races this time of year that we do definitely keep a real close eye on.
Yeah, well, that's good, and it's good to see on loose lines. Daniel, he's got a steer in the race. Lee Sutton.
Yeah, he has, and hopefully he can get a run. He's obviously the emergency for the race, but he was really good first up from a spell that was at Bendigo on Cup night. He probably maybe a touch stiff not to get a start. I was probably a bit surprised in a way that Mark Da Vinci got a run. I just based on its run from last week, I just thought that it was a bit disappointing. But he's obviously got form on the board, so that's why it got in. But if Like a Wildfire got in, it certainly wouldn't be the roughest if it got the right sort of trip.
Bad draw for him, though. That is the issue.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Quite a few NZ names, NZ brand, initials after a few of those names there. Cam, did you see the run of poor old Tango Tara? If you want to be unlucky in a cup, you just have to watch his run last week.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the run of it, but saying about the NZ prefix next to the names, I just think other than Mac Da Vinci, I reckon every one of those horses had a mention today in some way, shape or form. and the pedigrees of all the horses that are here in New Zealand. It just shows that these families are, this is why so many Kiwis show a lot of interest, because there is so much, these families do run deep all through a lot of the yearlings you sell here.
What's Expensive Ego by?
Rock and Roll Heaven.
Oh, he is too. Yeah, but there's actually one out of his family. No, it's not. No, there is one out of his family for sale. It's the opposition camp, so I won't go there too much on you. It's in the nutrient sale, so yeah, it's Sorry, mate. What are you giggling at? You telling?
No, nothing. Just happy with. I'm happy with life.
You're like, I'm going to kill him. He's hopeless, he is. So, yeah, but Amazing Dream, good to see her still here too. And Anthony Butt reunites with her. I'm sure he's looking forward to getting on there. And Josh Dickey gets a drive too. Cam, I don't know if you picked that up, but on Mac Da Vinci over here.
Yeah, no, good to see Josh. He's a great driver here in New Zealand. Good to see making a good go of it over there. You're saying about Amazing Dream, and that I don't know if you've highlighted it at all, but there's a wee bit of an issue going on at the minute out of New Zealand and Australia with horses trying to get to North America.
Yep.
Basically equine flights, because they've just hit the pause button. I think Cathay Pacific have just exited the freight business.
They've got they've actually got the stallions. I think they leave. The last collection date is on the 28th in New Zealand and the 27th here in Australia. Or actually, I might have that back to front, but because the Kiwi horses have to get across here. But yeah, they're going through the UAE, I believe, but they've got them home. So
they got the.
Yeah, so
that's good. They got the Qatar Airways flight. That's good.
Yeah, Qatar. Yeah, that might. Yeah, so that's UAE. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, they've got them home. So
yeah.
Unbelievable, Daniel. At one stage, there were Cathay Pacific. What they've just said, no, too hard, bad luck. They can just stay here. They don't realise, which is going to be a worry next year, isn't it, Cam?
Well, I think the ramifications. Well, what actually happened is it all hinges with Hong Kong, and the fact that the crews would have to be, regardless if they got off the plane or not, have to quarantine for 5 days.
Yep.
And that all of a sudden then puts 5 days of pain sitting on the ground, we do with the horses, just becomes unfeasible. But the real risk was if horses didn't get that flight out, and for whatever reason they had then to turn around and send semen back north, if they ever got those stallions home, would those stallion owners risk sending them back to the southern hemisphere, which would have massive ramifications on the breeding industry in Australasia?
Yeah, it's a good thing they got back, and hopefully they're all back next year, because they do offer a lot to our industry, although some people don't believe the same thing, but that's okay. I think what they've been able to do is actually terrific. Pet Market at the Breakview Pace is the second last on the card, and the good old Bernie Winkle, he was good again the other night, Daniel.
How does he get to a race called the Breakthrough? That's just insane, isn't it?
It's a 4-year-old and older, so yeah. I don't know if you saw him, Cameron, the other night at Shep. He just stood there like a statue. Alan Tormey was sitting in the middle of the track. No one was around him. He just standing there like, oh yeah, they'll call us up in a minute. And then he's like, I'll go. He's just an old marvel, he is.
It's good, good New Zealand horse too.
He doesn't miss. He's another heaven, isn't he?
They went 154 in that race last week, and Aphorism had got a nice trip and was able to get out, but he still only got beat 6 metres, and they ripped home in just on 56. So he's still got life in the old legs.
He's another one.
I just don't understand how he can be in a breakthrough race.
Wouldn't you love to see the sectionals on him, Daniel? Because he's always one of those horses. He runs some massive furlongs at stages in those races. It's just breathtaking. So, and then the last race, as you alluded to, Daniel, some of them drop away, and this is one of those races. There is only 6 horses going around in the Isuzu Ute. I bought a new Isuzu the other day. If I mention Isuzu 10 times, do you reckon they'll give me one?
No.
No, well, I'll just leave it at that then. But interesting. You didn't want to think about that any longer either, did you?
Nah.
It's an interesting little race.
It's not a bad race. It's not a bad race, but it's just a bit disappointing. There's only 6 in it. Yeah,
definitely is. That is one of the issues. But it's a good card. The last is at 10:30, which will be very good for participants going forward. What else have you got to offer over there, my friend? Cameron, that is.
Like me?
Yeah.
No, I haven't got like normal. I don't have a lot to offer.
I might have to let you and Daniel do the show next week, because I'll get into trouble from Hales. The only problem is I've got to take all my equipment with me. But we've got to work out exactly when we're going to do it. Now we're going to do it. But we will be doing some things going forward. All jokes aside, the guys from Southern Bred, Southern Red, Brecken Farms, White Stables, there's a few of them have actually reached out to me, Cam. So we've got a fair bit we've got to get through with some of these yearling parades going forward, don't we?
Oh no, what's an exciting time, isn't it? Like for a sales junkie with the whatever country you're in, it's an exciting period. You know, the amount of people that ring up and want a catalogue, and 90% of them they just get, and they'll openly tell you, you know, we just love checking them. We love keeping an eye on the horses as they progress through. So it's an exciting time of the year.
No, definitely is. And just while we're asking questions about over there, the rehoming that the guys at Nutrien are doing over here, is that touched anyone over there in New Zealand? Are you aware of what they're up to here with the camp draft? Something very different?
Yeah, well, I know I've taken a certain bit of notice to it, and we've talked to a few guys around here. We've sort of, it's something we're not really, camp drafting isn't really a thing here in New Zealand, but it's a fantastic, I personally believe it's a fantastic thing they've done, and you've got to be commend them on that, because so many of our equine athletes do have a lot to offer post their racing careers, albeit that they weren't quite have the ability to set off that racing career. But there is a great outlook for them, post or their careers, not making a go of it, that they can be something else. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it is indeed. And have you ever been to a camp draft, Daniel?
No, I haven't. No.
I've been to a couple of the small ones. I went to Tumut the other day, and unbelievable. And they tell me where I'm going to with the Classic doesn't even rate. Like Tumut won't even rate as far as it. I think they said there's something like 52 acres of land completely booked out for vehicles. Like it's gone. That's only vehicles. That's got nothing to do with shedding or toilets or anything else like that. Just park your vehicle and sleep there. 52 acres. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
A lot of land. A lot of land.
They did also tell me, you'll like this one, Cam. It's the second biggest event that Tamworth has, but by far the biggest drinking event they have, because the other one's country and western singers. There's a fair difference between the camp drafters and the country and western singers. So, yeah, they reckon I'm going to be pretty popular, being the fact that I am a soak. They reckon I'm going to come in pretty handy for a few of them to be able to get them home of a night time. So, there's not.
You'd be handy enough for the country music too, wouldn't you?
I might pump it up a bit. Wait till you see the hat. Don't you worry about that. I'll have a hat for you. I'm saving it up. Don't you? He's giving me a bit of cheek behind the scenes, asking me if I've got one, Daniel. Don't worry. You haven't mentioned the shirt, Cam. I don't know if you're aware of the shirt. I got a new sponsor. Got to go that way. Yeah, got to go that way. This is one of Daniel's brands. So make sure you get in touch with Daniel for his broadcasting, PA, and all the rest. Daniel, we didn't mention that. I was meant to too. I will do it next week.
You were?
Yes, the Wedderburn. Daniel's going to be live at Wedderburn for Trots Vision 2. We've got to make sure we mention that.
Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not too hot.
Yeah, a little bit of that's Gordon Rothicker night, so we want to get as many people to Wedderburn as we can and go from there. I won't be there. I'll be... actually, we'll be on the beach just to stir used to both up a little bit on that Sunday, but that's okay. I'll be taking videos of yearlings, so there's a dual purpose for it, so it'll be fine.
As long as you're not taking videos of you and your budgie smugglers.
Would you like me to send you one?
No.
Oh, now one other little stitch up too, Cam. And anyone out there that's still watching the show and the likes, Kath McIntosh had the most unfortunate incident the other day. So I put a signage up there. You guys will see it once it comes across the feed. But she dropped the container of blacket, and I don't know if you have blacket in New Zealand, Cam, but it is the most horrible, revolting stuff you could ever get. Makes a yearling's feet go nice and black, but it don't come off, and it won't come off. And unfortunately, she dropped it, and she said she looked down to see where it went and thought, I shouldn't be doing this, and because it exploded straight back up into her face when it hit the ground, and covered her face in black. I promised her I wouldn't show anyone that photo.
Good work.
Yeah, what a promise. It was up about 10 minutes after it happened, wasn't it?
No, it was even earlier than that. Don't worry. I gave her a couple of options.
Well, I tell you, I had a similar incident yesterday. We were at Alabar doing the yearling parade, and you'll know, Paul, because you've been hanging out for one for months. They're injured, we wear our white polo shirts from doing the casual job, and they'd run out of black stains for the old post and rail. Those have we touch up, and they ran out. And they had that. What's the stuff you put on the rails? The black stuff for the horses don't chew it.
Cribox, or
yep, Cribox. And so I've gone there and I've started reading the pedigrees. I'm leaning up against it. I'm roll round the tour. I ended up with this black strip. They just went right round the old. So the old white it just got chucked in the bin last night. Yeah, I feel Kath's pain really.
Your esteemed leader, James, would have been very jovial about that, I'd imagine, Cam.
He was pretty good about it. He shot back to the office to grab me another one. Because I did look like a fair income fool. I looked like a fool.
Don't worry, it happens to us all. I think Kelly Mitchell said to me yesterday she put blue on a horse and then on its neck, and then she decided she'd just give it a cuddle, and then she realised she had blue all down the side of her face as well. It's shocking things. The worst part for Kath, like you say about your shirt, you just throw it out. Trying to get the stuff off, and I did an interview with her that's going to go up shortly, but trying to get the stuff off afterwards and be able to get to see your face as nice and clean as near on impossible. So yeah, it's one of those things. Rightio, boys, that'll do me. Daniel, any other winners from Mildura that of any note?
Well, I just wanted to mention the not the race we just missed the 6th race. They're about to go in the 7th in about 2 minutes. Springfield Desire won the 6th race for Ryan Ryhorick and Michelle Phillips, another winner. But the race before, race 5, which was the well-named Happy 21st Birthday Luke Humphreys pace, so happy birthday to Luke. Starvin Marvin beat Aussie Playboy. So that was a Quinella for Julie Douglas, but it was an Abby Anderson victory over Ryan Sanderson by a head. So I'm not sure how many times Abby's beaten Ryan in the card at this point in time. I know Ryan had the wood on her, I think, for the first early on in the piece, but Abby got one back there, and I just noticed both of them have copped a little fine, so I think they might have been trying a little bit too hard up this straight.
Firstly, Luke Humphries' birthday is the longest birthday in history. He took a week off
Well,
work.
that's right. Yeah, I know. He'll be 42 before it's.
Well, there's a lot of conjecture. A lot of people don't believe he's only 21 when they listen to his voice. And
I can't believe it myself.
I know he used to be 14 at calling the trials at Bendigo, and we had more trouble then. Don't worry about that. They were convinced he could drive a car, and he was only 14. So yeah, it was interesting. But no, I think that will be officially the first time Abby's beaten Ryan home. So that'll be a little bit of fun. Charlton Harness Racing Club are promoting their cup. I will get someone on from that as well. We'll promote that up as well a little bit closer to the date. And don't forget, because I keep doing, Pacing for Pink will come around very, very quickly. Marg Watson's been putting a few posts out just recently. Do you like that? I had the fork in the hand. I'm actually about ready to eat my tea. And yeah, don't forget, get in touch with Donna Castles or Stacey Towers for those stubby holders. I think they're $10, but all money goes to a great cause, so make sure you get involved with those. Right, boys, I'm going to call it a day. That's about it, a wrap for us. Daniel, where are you calling next?
Off the Horsham on...
won't be hot there.
Nudge, yeah. Friday, and then I've got a quiet week and then another one better go, but lot of things happening, bubbling away in the background, so watch this space.
Is that a new gaming chair next year as well?
That's not mine, but yeah, mine is. That's Riley's. So yeah, it's a bit of a gaming chair, but not that he's a gamer just yet. We've kept that away from him for a little while.
Cam, you know what that means, don't you? It's Daniel's chair. He's just not owning up to it.
Yeah.
I'm not a gamer. Jeez Louise.
Good night, Scotty Purden. Well done to you contributing to the show, and yeah, thank you very much. All right, boys, thank you. Been fun as always. I don't know exactly what day we'll be back. I've got to have to juggle that one. I reckon. Stay tuned for next Tuesday night. We might have to go a little bit early, but thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to On Loose Lines.